You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Fishing the DMV. This is the Sizzlin Summer Showdown Tournament update video. Sorry I was late on this one. We're going to be getting into why I was late on this if you guys did not know, living on the rock, or you just have actually some peace of mind. And honestly, bless you for having peace of mind. So we're going to be going through this. We do have some tournament update announcements and some things to go over with the weekend. The first thing that we're going to be doing, this is the first tournament where, as I'm growing as a tournament director, new problems sprout out that you have to stamp down. And this is my, one, two, three. This is like my fourth tournament I've ever directed, and new problems come up and stuff. So instead of calling it the smallmouth and mixed bag division, the separation is it's just going to be the smallmouth and the largemouth division. Just because if somebody catches, in theory, a guy could just live in an area where he can only catch his 8 largemouth and he's not near any smallmouth water. And he's at a disadvantage at a guy that can catch all 8 smallmouth and largemouth, which I could see is like, yeah, that's a problem. It really is. So basically what I'm going to do is I'll just take your best smallmouth and your best largemouth and we'll split and dice it up. I apologize for that now, but it's just going to save me a ton of headache going forward. I want to get ahead of this with this. And you got plenty of time to still catch fish. So if you had a mixed bag, I'll just separate it out to your best largemouth, your best smallmouth, and then you'll be in both divisions as well, which will be pretty cool. So anyway, with that said, let's get into the largemouth standings. And if you guys have any questions about this, or if you think I did something wrong, no worries. Just reach out to me and I can help you out. I could make a mistake. I'm human, especially with the old mathematicals. I could be a problem. So anyway, in 15th place, we have Jamie McLean with 36.5 inches. In 14th place, we have Lee Wells with 42.50 inches. In 13th place, we have Brian Heath with 51.5 inches. In 12th place, we have Charlie Russell with 71.75 inches. In 11th place, we have Greg Oakes with 92.25 inches. In 10th place, we have Pete Whitaker with 99.75 inches. In 9th place, we have Michael Prey with 115.75 inches. In 8th place, we have Jason Church with 120.75 inches. In 7th place, we have David Hart with 123.25 inches. In 6th place, we have Aaron Ball with 131.75 inches. In 5th place, we have Gary Duncan with 137.75 inches. In 4th place, we have Bruce Callis with 140.25 inches. In 3rd place, we have Jason Niche with 152.75 inches. And in 2nd place, we have Larry Gray with 155.75 inches. And in 1st place, if the tournament ended today, we have Stephen Beck with 163 inches. Congratulations, guy. Again, this is your best 8 smallmouth or largemouth that you have. And we're going to get into the Largemouth Big Fish Awards. I'm giving away $100 in a plaque to the 4 biggest largemouth caught by separate individuals. So if you catch 2 fish that are 25 inches long, let's just say, you can count one of them and I'll go to the next biggest largemouth caught by another individual. That way we can spread the love out a little bit. And so the 4th largest largemouth caught in this event would be by Pete Whitaker, this beautiful 21.5 inch largemouth. The 3rd largest largemouth caught in this tournament so far is by Larry Gray, this beautiful 21.75 inch beast. And then we got a newcomer to the leaderboard. We have David Hart with this, just the head on this thing is amazing. This is a 22.5 inch largemouth. Absolutely crazy there. And then in 1st place, we have Bruce Callis with this beautiful 22.75 inch beauty. Ah, what a big fish. And that ends up with the old largemouth division. Now we're going to get into the smallmouth division right here. And we will go right with this. In 15th place, we have Jamie McLean with 111.75 inches of smallmouth. In 14th place, we have Tyler Simmons with 117.00 inches. In 13th place, we have Scott Miller with 120 inches on the dot. In 12th place, we have Lee Wells with 121.25 inches. In 11th place, we have Trey Leach with 122.75 inches. In 10th place, we have Douglas Spatch with 129.50 inches. In 9th place, we have Matthew Gills with 136.75 inches. In 8th place, we have Joey Edwards with 137.25 inches. In 7th place, we have Greg Oakes with 146.00 inches. In 6th place, we have Toby Foster with 146.25 inches. In 5th place, we have Todd Spatch with 148.25 inches. In 4th place, we have Jose Serrano with 153.25 inches. In 3rd place, we have Jared Clare with 155.75 inches. And in 2nd place, we have the man, the myth, legend, Cliff Bennett with 160.50 inches. And then this is the first thing that we're going to be talking about. As you can see, there's an asterisk with Jacob Hausman's name. So there was a little bit of controversy on the Susquehanna River. There's about 10,000 YouTube videos and stuff about that. There were a couple of tournaments on Friday and Saturday. There was a little bit of controversy, and he was disqualified for a infringement on a barrier or a line of demarcation where he couldn't fish past that. So basically, those tournaments were also one day. So the decision had to be made very, very quick on what was happening. And a bunch of tournament organizations have announced their penalties for not only the tournament, but going forward. I have the luxury of time, which I'm going to take 100% advantage of because this tournament does not end for a while. What I did do, all of his catches from last week have been disqualified. That's first and foremost. And then the final decision on what I'm going to do with Jacob, not just for this tournament, but for Jacob going forward, will be announced on Tuesday, the 19th. Allegedly, he's also going to be fighting this in court. And that's going to be an interesting kind of a cherry on top to this whole melodrama that's going up on the Susquehanna River. So because I got the luxury of time, all of his fish catches have been disqualified from last week. And then the final decision on him in this tournament and going forward will be made next week. And then I'll be talking a little bit more about this when I get into the rules section of today's outline of the Summer Sizzler tournament. So now let's get to the Smallmouth Division Big Fish Awards. We're going to start in Pennsylvania with the second largest smallmouth caught so far in Pennsylvania waters is by Jared Clare, which is this beautiful 20.25 inch smallmouth. And then the largest smallmouth right now, if the tournament ended in Pennsylvania waters, is by Jacob Hausman, this beautiful 20.75 inch smallmouth. And then the second largest smallmouth in Maryland waters is 20.50 inches. The largest smallmouth in Maryland waters is by the river rat himself, Cliff Bennett, with this 21.50 inch smallmouth. And then we're going to our Virginia waters, the second biggest smallmouth at this point. Now, there was another 20-inch smallmouth, mind you, caught, but this one was earlier. So that's how I'm going to prioritize it, that if you catch one on day one that's earlier and it's 20 inches, that's going to give you fiat over somebody that catches it the last day. I think that's the best tiebreaker to begin with, unless you guys want to do some kind of mud wrestling or fist fight. So the second biggest smallmouth in Maryland water or Virginia waters is by Matthew Gills, this 20-incher on the dot. Beautiful fish. Might have been able to give him some more, but we'll talk about this with the ruling, but it's really hard to see past the tail length here. And then it's neon green, which is really hard to see. Definitely it's a 20-inch fish. It could be a little bit more, but it's super duper hard to tell, so it's safe at 20 inches. The largest smallmouth in Virginia waters is 20.50 inches by Ty Helmick. I believe that's right. Apologies if I said that wrong. Again, beautiful fish. Virginia's really shown out with the smallmouth, which is awesome to see. And this gets us into the thing I enjoy the most. I think everyone on Patreon enjoys this, is the side quest challenge, the Sizzling Summer Showdown side quest challenge. I'm giving away $100 in a plaque to the two largest snakehead caught in the tournament, the two largest sunfish caught in the tournament, sunfish bluegill caught in the tournament, the two largest rock bass, and the two largest crappie. And just like with the largemouth and smallmouth division, you can submit your largest fish, and then I'll go to the next largest fish in that category. You can't double dip. That way we can spread the love around. So let's go to the snakehead side pot first. Not much has changed. There's been two snakehead out of almost 50 people caught. The second largest snakehead at this point is the Dragon Slayer himself, Lee Wells, with his 26.25 inch beauty. And then Jason Church, he is still holding it down with 27.25 inches. Beautiful, beautiful dragon right there. I love the coloration on these guys. Always have and always will. this gets us to the crappie side pot. And so the largest crappie at this point is by Aaron Ball, this beautiful, beautiful 14.5 inch crappie. As you can, I don't know if you guys can tell right here, his board is very bleached and faded, but it does say 15 inches there. And you can see a little bit of the tail just to kind of prove that it is 14.5 inches on the dot with that beautiful, beautiful crappie that he caught. And we're going to get into the crappie section here in a minute because there's not a lot of crappie that were submitted. There's been 3. 2 by Aaron, and then 1 by Larry Gray. And right now, he has an 11-inch crappie. I know what people are going to say in the comments section and on this video. Hear me out. Yes, the fish is technically, like, it's flip-flopped wrong, which should be discounted. But here's the thing. There's only been 3 crappie out of 50 people submitted. So if I discount that, then second place, I just keep the money at that point. So it's kind of up to you guys. Do you want me just to keep the money in the plaque? Or I'm assuming, you know, there will be a 4th crappie caught in the next 3 weeks by somebody. And if another crappie is caught that is with the left eye facing me, automatically that would be second place. It would be, because we got to follow the rules with the fish has got to be facing the right way. Let's just be real. So, but at this point, it's the second biggest crappie caught. So if anyone out of the 50 people, if anyone like to go catch a damn crappie, feel free. But yeah, just flip it around the other way and everything will be fine. Still a beautiful crappie though. Beautiful crappie. And that's going to get us to the bluegill sunfish side pots. Let's see what we got here. Right now, Aaron Ball is still leading with this beautiful 8-inch bluegill. Yeah, not a lot of competition here either with the amount of bluegill registered, which is kind of crazy. This is like the easiest fish to find at any pond. And there's very few that have been submitted. The second largest bluegill right now is by Ty Helmick, this 8-inch beauty. So Ty basically, both are 8 inches. I believe this is actually a pumpkin seed, honestly, a pumpkin seed sunfish. Beautiful, beautiful fish. I love the colorations on their jowls. It's really cool. But yeah, those right now are our 2 largest bluegill. And then let's get into our rock bass. We finally have somebody else that entered the fray. I know when I built this thing on Photoshop, I did it a little bit wrong. It should say 7.25 inches. It'll be adjusted when it gets pumped on Instagram and Facebook. But as I'm recording this, it's actually 2.75. It is the biggest rock bass at this point submitted. So Tyler Simmons, congratulations. That's the biggest rock bass right now. And the second biggest rock bass is by, I don't even call it the second biggest, this cute little button. This 5.5 inch rock bass by Aaron Ball is the second biggest rock bass submitted. I'm kind of still shocked about how few rock bass have been submitted in this tournament. Quite sad. But yeah, right now, the tournament ends. That's what we're at right now. Tournament rules to kind of go over here. First thing, as always, the rule that I introduced at the beginning of the tournament is with the eyes. If his eyes are puffy and yellow on a smallmouth or a largemouth that looks like it just ate too much Taco Bell, those fish I have the right to discount because they could, that's usually the primary indicator of the fish being dead, and I don't want to count dead fish. Plus, and it also cuts down the idea of somebody could be throwing it in a cooler or whatever. So it can't, if it has a yellow puffy eye, I have the ability just to refute it if I want to. How to measure the fish, the same thing I talked about with Larry Gray's crappie here. You need to really make sure that the left eye is facing up, nose against the board right there, and please have like 2 or 3 inches past the tail. It makes it a lot easier to judge the photo. And then have the indicator somewhere. If you want to lay it on the fish, that's fine. I didn't specifically say no, and I'm trying to be kind of as formal with that as possible. And that's kind of how you measure the fish. Let me get back to the old things here. And then the next thing would be about the mouth being open. This is always the thing. I try not to be too much of a mouth Nazi where, yeah, if it's slightly open and it's in between 12 inches and 12.25, clearly knocking you down, it doesn't, like, it's going to be 12 inches, right? So it doesn't matter if the mouth is open. And then if it's deformed and everything, I try to kind of be a little bit more lenient on that. If the thing is gaping open by 12.5 inches, like, on the far right, that I'm gonna have to knock you down. What that means is if the fish was 12.25 inches, it'll be knocked down to 12 inches. That's just kind of how I would do it. So just always be mindful of that. And then another thing about tournament rules I want to get into is as the tournament's getting bigger, because we're getting close to 50 participants on Patreon. It's pretty crazy. I'm going to be going through the rules. I talked to a lawyer very, very briefly. He had to, sadly, he kind of... We had a quicker phone call. I'm going to have to be back in touch with him later this week, which is going to be leading into the whole Jacob Hausman kind of final decision. I got to redo my rules. I got to make them bigger. I got to make the rule book thicker. I really didn't want to do that, but this is the thing. As this tournament evolves, as I grow as a tournament director, you keep learning new things, like the yellow eye on a fish. That's a new thing, and I'm going to keep adding and adjusting the rules to make sure it's fair and chivalrous. There's going to be bigger changes coming to the next couple of tournaments to help prevent people from bending the rules and what are going to be the responses from the rules. I want to make sure it's clear cut the repercussions for breaking the rules, and not that I'm just pulling it out of my butt. And since I'm starting this tournament from scratch, basically I can write what that should be. And I want to make sure that that is not taken lightly. And when I make that announcement, it's something that everyone can follow going forward, for better or worse. Because also this podcast is getting bigger. You know, I am the 50th most listened to fishing show in the United States of America. Like there's a responsibility with that when we have thousands, 10,000 downloads like per episode or whatever. That's a lot of freaking people that listen or watch on YouTube. And I want to make sure that when we have tournaments in these situations, we handle it, promptly. So don't freak out about the standings. It'll be taken care of next week. It gives me some more time. There's still almost 3 weeks left in the tournament. So no worries, no stressor there. And as always, if you have any questions or you need to, please text me or reach out on Facebook or Instagram, and we can go from there. Again, decision will be made next Tuesday on all that stuff. Good luck out there on the water, and I will see you guys later. You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.